In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, welcome back to another episode. This episode, we're going to be talking about the different autocephalous churches that make up the Orthodox Church. This is probably going to be a shorter episode because there are several of them, 15 to be precise, that we're going to be going over. So even if I spend just 1 minute on each one, that still adds up to 15 minutes. So I'm going to try and keep it brief, and if you want more information, maybe I can do episodes on individual churches in the future. Now, before we begin, just a couple of things to address. First, we must note that the Orthodox Church is one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. It is not many holy, ethnic, and apostolic churches. The autocephalous churches of the Orthodox Church are similar to the particular churches in Catholicism or the churches of the Anglican Communion. So even though breaks sometimes in communion sometimes occur between different bishops and patriarchs, they do not cease to be part of the broader Orthodox Catholic Church. The autocephalous churches are part of the church's administrative portion. It's merely done for earthly convenience. On a sacramental level, all bishops are equal, and the local parish with the correct faith and properly ordained clergy is the Catholic Church. This comes from St. Ignatius of Antioch, who said, "Wherever the bishop appears, there let the people be. Just as wherever Jesus Christ is, there is the Catholic Church." Now, when he said there is the Catholic Church, he didn't mean there is the place that submits to the Roman Pope. He meant that church is the complete church. It lacks nothing. So as long as there's even just one parish that has a bishop ordained through the valid apostolic succession that teaches the correct faith, even if the rest of the world falls away, the Catholic Church can be found in that right-believing parish. So each local church itself, when it celebrates the Eucharist, is the Catholic Church, because Christ is there in his entirety. It's not part of Christ that's there. But the local churches also form part of a larger church body. This is why the autocephalous system of governments develops. Because you have each bishop within his local parish, but there are lots of parishes out there. So bishops that were in communion with each other, as they recognize the other as teaching the correct faith and can share the Eucharist with them, got together to help govern the church as a whole. It's developed into the different autocephalous churches we have today. Okay, so we're going to be covering 15 churches. The Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople, the Patriarchate of Alexandria, the Patriarchate of Antioch, the Patriarchate of Jerusalem, the Patriarchate of Moscow, the Patriarchate of Serbia, the Patriarchate of Romania, the Patriarchate of Bulgaria, the Patriarchate of Georgia, the Church of Cyprus, the Church of Greece, the Church of Poland, the Church of Albania, the Church of the Czech lands in Slovakia, and the Orthodox Church in America. Our first church is the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. Originally founded by the Apostle St. Andrew, it was a small church in Byzantium. It was subject to the jurisdiction of the Metropolitan of Heraclea. But then, after St. Constantine converted to Christianity, he moved the capital from Rome to Byzantium, built a new city there, and became Constantinople. Because of its status as a new imperial council, at the Second Ecumenical Council in 381 AD, it was elevated to the status of Patriarchate. It was placed second in order, after Rome itself. Its current territory is most of Turkey, as well as the parts of Greece that weren't part of Greece when it was initially independent. So, Epirus, Macedonia, Thrace, Crete, several of the islands. And also, the autonomous churches of Finland and Estonia are under the Ecumenical Patriarchate. It also has direct jurisdiction over the holy mountain Athos. It also has churches in the diaspora and claims all territory not already under the jurisdiction of another church. So if you go back to that map on the last slide, all the area that's gray could also be the yellow color we have here for Constantinople. Since Rome left, Constantinople has become first among the churches, first among equals. Though since the 20th century, Constantinople has developed an increasingly papal view of its powers, and this is causing problems with other churches, especially Russia. Next, we have the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Alexandria and all Africa. Note, this is not the Coptic Orthodox Church, which is not part of the Eastern Orthodox Church. It's one of the Oriental Orthodox churches. They separated the Council of Chalcedon in 451 AD. The Church of Alexandria was founded by St. Mark the Apostle and Evangelist. St. Mark was a disciple of St. Peter, and so was considered, along with Rome and Antioch, to be one of the three Petrine sees. These three Petrine sees were also the three largest cities in the Roman Empire at the time. For these reasons, even before the Council of Nicaea, these three churches had very broad jurisdictions. So, the autocephaly of these churches is anti-Nicene. Even though it has a very large jurisdiction encompassing the entire continent of Africa, it's a fairly small church with only about 500,000 members. Most of its members are in Uganda, Kenya, and South Africa. It has very few members in Alexandria itself, which is under Muslim control, and most of the Christians there are part of the Coptic Orthodox Church, not the Eastern Orthodox Church. Next we have the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Antioch and all the East. And, like last time, we have to note this is distinct from the Syriac Orthodox Church of Antioch, which is the non-Chalcedonian Church, the Oriental Orthodox Church. Despite being called the Patriarchate of Antioch, the ancient city of Antioch no longer exists, so the church is headquartered operating out of Damascus. Its territory includes Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, the Arabian Peninsula, Armenia, Azerbaijan, part of Turkey, and they're fairly well established in the diaspora. The Antiochian Archdiocese of America is the third largest Eastern Orthodox Archdiocese in America after the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese and the Orthodox Church in America. It was founded by the apostles Saints Peter and Paul. So because of this, it was one of the three Petrine sees, and its autocephaly was anti-Nicene. Currently, it's out of communion with Jerusalem due to a territorial dispute over Qatar. But positive steps have been taken between the two churches, and hopefully this schism will be mended shortly. Also note that even though its jurisdiction includes Armenia, the Armenian Orthodox Church is one of the Oriental Orthodox churches and not part of the Eastern Orthodox Church. So even though it has jurisdiction in Armenia, most of the Christians there are going to be part of the Oriental Orthodox Church of Armenia. Now we come to the Greek Orthodox Church of Jerusalem. This church is one of particular spiritual importance because it has custody over the Holy Land, especially the Church of the Resurrection, or Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem itself. Because Jerusalem was a small city in the Roman Empire, it was originally subject to the Metropolitan of Caesarea Maritima, which was the capital city of the Palestinian province. But at the Fourth Ecumenical Council in 451, the Council of Chalcedon, it was elevated to the status of Patriarchate and not only freed from Caesarea's jurisdiction, but placed over Caesarea. Its current territory is Israel, including the occupied territories, Jordan, and Sinai. There is an autonomous Church of Sinai, most notably St. Catherine's Monastery, which has a large collection of icons and books. As mentioned on the last slide, it's been out of communion with Antioch for a while because of a territorial dispute over Qatar. But again, steps are being taken, and hopefully the schism will be mended in the near future. This church's founder is considered to be the apostles, not just one specific one, but the apostles themselves, because Jerusalem is where Pentecost happened. That's when the apostles received the gift of the Holy Spirit and began the church's temporal mission. Now we come to the Russian Orthodox Church. We covered a bit about this church in the third video about church councils. It had a pretty prominent role in that episode. So, its founder is considered St. Andrew the Apostle because it was founded by missionaries from Constantinople. So any church that got its autocephaly from Constantinople is going to have as its founder St. Andrew the Apostle. Additionally, considered to be founded by St. Vladimir the Great because he was the ruler of Kievan Rus who converted his nation to Orthodoxy. It became autocephalous in 1589, though was de facto since 1448, and again received its autocephaly from Constantinople. Russia is the largest of the Orthodox churches with over 160 million members. Russia alone has roughly half or more of the world's Orthodox Christians. Because of steps taken by the Ecumenical Patriarchate in Ukraine, Russia has cut off communion with Constantinople, Alexandria, and Greece. The secular West and even other Orthodox churches have criticized the Russian Church because of its close relationship with the current Russian state. Though anyone who knows anything about Russian history knows this is nothing new. Church and state have always been very closely tied in Russia. The Soviet Union was an aberration. Its territory includes the former Soviet Union. Oh, by the way, just an aside here, let's reflect on what a wonderful blessing it is to be able to say the former Soviet Union. Really, the fact that the Soviet Union no longer exists is such a great and wonderful thing. I don't think we really appreciate it, especially those of us who were younger and were born as the Cold War was ending or after it was over. Anyway, territory, the former Soviet Union, Mongolia, China, Japan, and the diaspora. It was the Russians who were the first to bring Orthodoxy to America, which we'll talk about when we get to the OCA. Now we come to the Serbian Orthodox Church. Its founders are considered to be St. Andrew the Apostle, again, because it was founded by missionaries from Constantinople, and got its autocephaly from Constantinople, and also St. Sava, who was the first to be the primate of an independent Serbian church. Its autocephaly was granted in 1219, and then rescinded in 1463, then reestablished in 1557, then rescinded again in 1766, and then reestablished in 1879, all from Constantinople. The independence of the Serbian Church tended to coincide with its independence as a state. So when it was under Turkish occupation, it was once again placed under the jurisdiction of Constantinople. Its territory is the former Yugoslavia and also the diaspora. The Serbian Church is currently facing problems because of new laws about religion in Montenegro. The church also came under scrutiny in the 90s because of the position taken by some of its leadership during the Yugoslav wars. Now we come to the Romanian Orthodox Church. Romania is an interesting member of the Orthodox Church. Though it's influenced by its Slavic neighbors, Romanian is a Romance language, so it's probably the most Latin of the Orthodox churches. It was founded by St. Andrew the Apostle, again, because of the missionary work from Constantinople. Its secondary founders are considered Nifon Rusela and Carol I, who were the ones to really push for an autocephalous church in Romania, which at that time was the United Principalities of Wallachia and Moldavia. It was granted autocephaly in 1885, that was de facto since 1865, from Constantinople. With roughly 18 million members, the Romanian Church is the second largest Orthodox church. Though, I think I recall reading recently that Russia might be the largest church, but its attendance is fairly low. So in terms of churches' size that actually attend regularly, Romania is the most Orthodox country. Its territory includes Romania, Moldova, and the diaspora. Romania also has the distinction of being the church that suffered least under communism. Still suffered, but to a lesser extent than in other communist countries. Romania has also produced notable Orthodox theologians recently, chief among them Dumitru Stăniloae. Now we come to the Patriarchate of Bulgaria. Bulgaria was the first of the Slavic countries to be Christianized, and the first national Slavic church. Its founders are considered St. Andrew the Apostle, again because of the missionary work from Constantinople, and Boris I, who was the ruler that really pushed for an independent Bulgarian church, which was realized shortly after his death. We talked about this in the video on church councils, the second episode, about the issues with Rome. It was given autocephaly in 927, though it had been facto autocephalous since 870, though that was rescinded in 1767, when the Sultan placed it back under the jurisdiction of Constantinople. It was re-established in 1945, though it had been de facto since 1870, again from Constantinople. So from 1870 to 1945, Bulgaria and Constantinople were out of communion with each other. Its territory includes Bulgaria and the diaspora. This doesn't really have anything to do with the Bulgarian church itself, but I do think it's interesting to note that Bulgaria was the only Orthodox country to fight alongside the Central Powers, and therefore the Ottoman Turks, during World War I. After the fall of communism, there were issues with church leadership, which had to be resolved by a pan-Orthodox council in the 90s. We discussed that in the third episode on church councils. Now we come to the Apostolic Autocephalous Orthodox Church of Georgia. It's considered to be founded by Saints Peter and Paul, because it was given autocephaly from Antioch originally. There are stories of other apostles visiting the region, including St. Andrew. It's also considered to be founded by St. Nino. She was the one who preached Christianity to the Iberian Kingdom, as it was known at the time. It was she who convinced Marian III, the king, to adopt Christianity as his religion, and which then became the religion of the entire Kingdom of Iberia. Its first steps toward autocephaly were given in 486, when Antioch allowed it to appoint its own bishops, but the Primate of Georgia itself still had to be confirmed by Antioch. It was given complete autocephaly in 1010. This was rescinded in 1811, because by then Russia had conquered Georgia, and the church was integrated into the Russian church. With the Russian Revolution of 1917, it declared its independence from the Russian Church, which was recognized by Russia in 1943. It was not recognized by Constantinople until 1990. Its territory includes Georgia itself, and also parts of Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkey, and has churches in the diaspora as well. Despite the current political climate between Georgia and Russia, the Church of Georgia maintains friendly relations with the Church of Russia. Now we come to the Church of Cyprus. It was founded by St. Barnabas the Apostle. Its territory is the island of Cyprus. The Cypriot Church was the very first to become autocephalous that wasn't part of the Pentarchy. It was given autocephaly in 431 at the Council of Ephesus from its original submission to Antioch. Additionally, the Archbishop of Cyprus was given privileges by the emperor. These privileges were permission to sign his name in red, to have an imperial scepter as his crozier, and to wear purple cassocks. The church has been a strong presence in Cyprus, and when Cyprus gained its independence from Britain, its president was its archbishop. That was Macarius III. Additionally, August 15th, the remission of the Theotokos, is a national holiday in Cyprus. The Cypriot Church has had its problems due to the Turkish invasion of northern Cyprus and the devastation that caused. Now we come to the Church of Greece. The Church of Greece is the part of Greece when it initially gained its independence. So, the lower part of Greece. So, excluding Epirus, Macedonia, Thrace, Crete, several of the islands. Though because of the great reduction of the Patriarchate of Constantinople, the Church of Greece does assist the Patriarchate in administering the rest of Greece. It was de facto autocephalous in 1833 and was recognized by Constantinople in 1850. Church's founder is considered to be St. Paul the Apostle. Pretty much every religious church in Greece was founded by an apostle, and St. Paul did a lot of missionary work in Greece, including Athens. Though the Orthodox Church in Greece is not as strong as it once was, it still maintains a visible presence, and for most people in Greece, being Orthodox is part of being Greek still. Though the church's reputation suffered somewhat in the 20th century because of perceived collaboration with the military junta. Now we have the Polish Autocephalous Orthodox Church. Its founders are considered to be St. Andrew the Apostle and also Saints Cyril and Methodius, because they were the ones who brought Christianity to the Slavic peoples. It was given its autocephaly in 1924 from Constantinople. This autocephaly was recognized in 1948 by Russia. Poland was an area of dispute between the churches of Constantinople and Russia, hence the two different dates for autocephaly. The Orthodox presence in Poland is a comparatively small share of the country because Poland is famously very Catholic. So Poland, like Ukraine, has been a source of contention between Orthodox and Catholics through the centuries. Now we come to the Autocephalous Orthodox Church of Albania. Considered to be founded by St. Paul the Apostle, and its more recent founder is Theophan Noli, who was the one who really pushed for an independent Albanian church. Its territory includes Albania and the diaspora. It was de facto autocephalous in 1922 and was recognized by Constantinople in 1937. Albania is probably the church that suffered most under communism, when Enver Hoxha made it the world's first officially atheist state and closed all churches and banned all religious observances. Though it's one of the smaller and newer churches, Albania may play a crucial role in sorting out the current jurisdictional problems between Constantinople and Moscow. Now, the Orthodox Church of the Czech lands and Slovakia. Its territory is, you guessed it, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Its founders are considered to be St. Andrew the Apostle and also Saints Cyril and Methodius. Again, they were the apostles to the Slavs. They were the ones who set up the first church in what is now the Czech Republic, when it was called Moravia. They even had the blessing of the Pope to do so, but they were driven out by Frankish missionaries. After World War I, there was an attempt to revive an Orthodox church in what was then called Czechoslovakia. Two different leaders emerged, one ordained by the Serbian Patriarchate, the other by the Ecumenical Patriarchate. The people rallied to one ordained by the Serbian Patriarchate. After World War II, the Soviets occupied Czechoslovakia. It was placed under the Church of Moscow. In 1951, Moscow granted autocephaly. It was not until 1998 that the autocephaly was recognized by Constantinople, who until that time had continued to regard as autonomous under their jurisdiction because of the hierarchy they ordained after World War I. And finally, we have the Orthodox Church in America. Its territory is the United States of America and Canada. founders are St. Andrew the Apostle, and the more recent founders being Saints Herman of Alaska, Innocent of Alaska, and Alexis of Wilkes-Barre. It was originally the Russians who brought Orthodoxy to America through the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. Of note is that the Orthodox clergy were the ones who really fought to protect the rights and liberties of native peoples against the Russian government, similar to the role the Catholic Church played in protecting the rights of the natives against the Spanish government several centuries earlier. What was the Russian jurisdiction in America was granted autocephaly in 1970 from Moscow, though it's recognized only by Russia, Bulgaria, Poland, Georgia, and the Czech lands and Slovakia. It is the second largest Orthodox body in America after the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. America, like the rest of the Western world, is a canonical mess with many overlapping jurisdictions, mostly based on ethnicity. Something that was condemned at a council in Constantinople in 1870. It's called Philotism. We talk about that in the third episode of Church Councils. The need for a united Orthodox Church in America is a pressing matter that the hierarchs of the various jurisdictions are supposed to get together and work out, as commanded by the Council of Crete in 2016. Despite its autocephaly not being recognized by most churches, the OCA is still in communion with all the Orthodox churches. While they don't recognize its autocephaly, they do recognize it as being a canonical church. They consider it to be part of the Russian Church. Alright, that's all I have time for. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoyed this season. We'll be making additional Orthodoxy episodes in the future. Not sure when. Not sure about what. I probably will do one about Western Rite Orthodoxy at some point. Again, not sure when. I'm going to need help on that one. But I have someone who said they will help me with it. Just need to hammer out the details. Alright then. O Lord, and let your servants depart in peace, according to your word, for our eyes have seen your salvation, which you prepared before the face of all people, a light to enlighten the Gentiles, and the glory of your people Israel.